The day Ingrid lost herself. The morning was the coldest it had been all season. The wind howled against the cabin, seeping through the chinks in the logs, making the small home feel as if it were breathing. Inside, the fire burned low, barely enough to fight the bitter chill. Eric was at the table, carving a new handle for the axe, his thick fingers steady despite the tightness in his jaw. Elise stirred up the pot of weak porridge over the fire, her small shoulders tense with quiet responsibility. Henrik sat beside her, swinging his legs idly, his face pale and drawn. And Ingrid sat by the window, staring out at the snow. She had been sitting there for hours. Her eyes were hollow, distant, fixed on something far beyond the frozen fields, beyond the gray horizon. Her hands rested in her lap, unmoving, her fingers curled as if holding something unseen. She had not spoken a word since she woke. She had not spoken much at all in weeks. Johann, their youngest, had been restless all morning. He toddled across the cabin, his small boots thudding softly against the wood. When he reached Ingrid, he paused, tugging at her sleeve. "Mama?" No response. He tugged again. "Mama, I'm hungry." Still, she did not move. Elise glanced at Eric, her lips pressing together. Eric set his carving knife down, his stomach twisting. "Ingrid," he said gently. Nothing. He stood, crossing the room in a few slow strides. He crouched beside her, his rough hands reaching for hers. "Ingrid," his voice was firmer this time but careful, as if speaking too loudly might break her entirely. "Look at me." At first she did not react. And then a small shudder ran through her body. Slowly she turned her head. Her eyes met his, and for a fleeting moment Eric thought, even hoped, that he saw her again, that the woman he had married was still there, somewhere beneath the grief. But then she blinked, and he saw the truth. Her gaze was far away, unfocused, and her lips parted, her breath coming in a shallow whisper. "She's outside." Eric's stomach dropped. His fingers tightened around her hands. "Who?" Ingrid let out a small, tiny laugh. It was not a joyful sound. It was brittle, fractured, like thin ice cracking beneath too much weight. "It's Mary," she murmured. "She's been outside all this time." Eric's breath caught in his throat. "Ingrid, I have to go get her." She wrenched her hands from his grasp and stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the wooden floor. Eric rose with her. "Ingrid, no," he said, but she was already moving, her steps swift, almost frantic. She threw open the cabin door, and a blast of cold wind rushed in, carrying with it the sting of snow and ice. And then Ingrid was running. Eric swore under his breath and lunged after her, but she was too fast, faster than she had been in weeks, almost as if some terrible energy had been unleashed within her. She ran barefoot through the snow, her night dress whipping in the wind, her hair wild against her pale face. "Mary," she called. Her voice was raw and desperate. "Mama, no," Elise cried from the doorway. Eric's boots pounded against the frozen ground. Ingrid, stop! But she didn't stop. She ran. She ran through the deep snow, through the biting wind, her breath coming in ragged sobs. And then suddenly, she collapsed. She fell to her knees in the snow, her hands sinking into the drifts, clawing at the ice. Her breath hitched, a broken sound that tore through the quiet morning. Eric reached her just as she began digging. She's here, she gasped. Her fingers were bloodied from the ice, her nails cracked. She's buried. She's cold, Eric. I have to find her. I have to. Eric dropped beside her, grabbing her wrists. Ingrid, stop. There's nothing there. She fought against him, weak but frantic, sobbing as she struggled. No, no, she was crying. She needs me. Let me go. Eric's heart shattered. He pulled her into his arms, crushing her against him as she writhed in pain and screamed. He held her tightly, rocking her as she thrashed against his chest. Ingrid, he choked out, his voice breaking. She's gone. And then she went still. Her body slumped against him, her face pressed into his shoulder. Her breathing was shallow and ragged. Her fingers twitched against his coat. For a long, terrible moment, she didn't move. And then a whisper. I lost her. The words were so soft, so broken, that Eric almost didn't hear them over the wind. And when she lifted her face to his, there was nothing in her eyes, nothing at all. That night, Ingrid did not speak. She did not cry. She simply laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, unblinking. Elise sat beside her, holding her mother's hand, whispering soft things, though Ingrid did not seem to hear. Eric sat at the table, his head in his hands, staring into the dying fire. Something had shattered in Ingrid that day in the snow, and Eric feared, deep in his bones, that she would never be whole again.